The first signs appeared as quiet blips on the screens of Earth's most advanced observatories. At first, astronomers thought it was just a natural phenomenon, a distant pulsar or a star sending out strange signals. But as weeks passed, the patterns became clearer, too precise to be random. A team of scientists working late nights in a dimly lit lab began to notice something unusual. The signals weren't just random noise. They carried structure, repetition, and what seemed like a hidden language. Excitement and curiosity spread through the scientific community. Some whispered that it could be a message from another civilization. Many were skeptical, but a few believed it could be the first real proof that humans were not alone in the universe. Earth's media quickly picked up the story. Headlines around the world asked the same question: was someone or something trying to reach us? Governments scrambled to respond, sending teams of experts to analyze the data. Among them was Dr. Anaya Rahman, a linguist who specialized in decoding patterns in unknown languages. She worked tirelessly, day and night, trying to find meaning in the alien signals. At first, it was frustrating. The messages seemed to resist understanding, as if the senders didn't want to be fully understood. But slowly, a pattern emerged. Certain sequences repeated more often, and some structures resembled simple calls for attention, like a message saying, "We are here. We need help." Despite the potential importance, the response from other interstellar observers, the alien civilizations that monitored the galaxy, was indifferent. They had seen many signals before and often ignored them. They considered the messages trivial or irrelevant. Some even suggested Earth should not waste its time, claiming that other civilizations had no reason to ask for help unless it was a trap. But humans were different. Humanity had always been curious, persistent, and willing to take risks. Even if it was dangerous, they could not ignore the possibility that someone was reaching out for assistance. Dr. Rahman's team worked with engineers, astronomers, and astronauts to prepare for the possibility of a journey. They built small probes capable of traveling long distances and transmitting information back to Earth. They studied the signals in great detail, mapping the star system from which they originated. It was a system far beyond anything humanity had ever visited. The planets were distant, and the signals hinted at a world rich with life, though possibly under great stress. The aliens' messages were urgent, yet they carried a strange tone of pride and hesitation. They did not directly ask for humans to come. They seemed to be struggling alone but were unable to fully resist the need for outside help. Many people on Earth debated the morality of sending humans into unknown space. Some argued that it was reckless, that sending explorers into a foreign civilization could bring disaster. Others said that humanity had a responsibility. If another intelligent species was in trouble, it was a moral duty to respond no matter the risk. News outlets shared stories of the explorers preparing for their mission, their families waving goodbye, and the collective hope of billions watching from Earth. For the first time, the world felt united in curiosity and anticipation. The journey was not easy. Even before leaving Earth, the mission faced challenges. Supplies had to be carefully measured, the spacecraft had to be tested repeatedly, and every possibility of failure had to be considered. The crew trained for months, practicing navigation, emergency procedures, and even cultural communication. They studied diplomacy, ethics, and strategies for interacting with an unknown civilization. Each day brought them closer to the unknown, and yet every step seemed heavier because of the uncertainty. What if the aliens did not want humans to interfere? What if the mission was misinterpreted? Despite the fear, the crew felt a sense of purpose. Captain Elias Moreno, a veteran of long-range space missions, often reminded the team that humanity had always pushed forward into the unknown. He spoke of explorers of Earth, people who had crossed oceans and deserts without knowing what lay ahead. Now they were doing the same, but on a cosmic scale. The idea that they might make first contact with an alien civilization was thrilling. It was not just about discovery, it was about responsibility, courage, and the chance to prove that humanity could rise to extraordinary challenges. As the spacecraft finally left Earth's atmosphere, The crew felt a mixture of awe and anxiety. The blue planet receded behind them, shrinking into the distance. They passed through the silence of space, guided by the signals that had first drawn humans' attention. Every blip, every pattern, reminded them why they were here. They were heading toward a civilization that was proud, strong, yet in trouble. The messages hinted at struggle, but the aliens had not asked for help outright. Humans had chosen to act not because they were demanded to, but because they believed it was the right thing to do. Weeks turned into months. The spacecraft moved through darkness punctuated by distant stars, each one a possible world. The crew studied the signals continuously, refining their understanding. Slowly, the patterns began to reveal more about the alien world. Cities, technologies, and challenges faced by its inhabitants. But the more humans learned, the more they realized the aliens' pride was a barrier. They had built incredible machines, lived in complex societies, and yet something had gone wrong. They were capable of solving many problems, but they hesitated to let outsiders intervene. It was both a lesson and a warning. Helping would require sensitivity, patience, and respect. By the time they neared the alien system, the crew had prepared for every possible scenario. They were ready to offer aid, but they also understood that it might be rejected. Humans had learned to navigate their own fears, their own doubts, and their own limitations. Now, they faced a challenge that required not only intelligence and technology, but empathy and courage. The signals had been a call across the void, a silent cry that humans had chosen to answer. What awaited them would test everything they knew about diplomacy, bravery, and the true meaning of help. As the first glimpses of the alien planet appeared on their screens, the crew felt a quiet anticipation. They were not just explorers, they were ambassadors of humanity, traveling to a world that had never asked for them, yet might need them more than anyone knew. The story of this mission was just beginning, and with every passing moment, the stakes grew higher. The aliens' pride and reluctance would challenge the humans, but the humans' determination and compassion might be the key to changing everything. As the human spacecraft approached the alien world, the crew could see its beauty and complexity from afar. The planet was larger than Earth, with swirling clouds that reflected colors humans had never imagined. Vast cities stretched across continents, their structures unlike anything seen before. Some towers shimmered with light, others moved with a fluid motion, almost like they were alive. At first glance, the civilization seemed flawless, advanced beyond Earth's technology. But as the crew observed more closely, signs of damage and disorder became apparent. Entire districts were in ruins, and energy grids flickered irregularly. The aliens had built incredible things, yet the planet bore the scars of recent conflict. Human observers quickly realized that the alien society was proud and fiercely independent. Scouts reported no response to initial greetings from the human vessel. The alien cities continued their daily routines, seemingly ignoring the newcomers. Attempts at communication using universal codes and symbols were met with silence. Humans understood that this pride was not arrogance but a cultural trait, a deep belief that they should solve their own problems without outside interference. Still, the urgency of the signals told the human crew that these aliens were struggling. The contradictions puzzled the humans, a civilization capable of incredible achievements, yet unwilling to accept help even in the face of obvious threats. Captain Elias Moreno led the team in careful maneuvers around the planet, keeping a safe distance while trying to send messages of peace. Dr. Anaya Rahman worked tirelessly to craft messages that respected alien culture. She studied their patterns, their communications, and even their nonverbal behaviors. It became clear that the aliens viewed any offer of help as a challenge to their honor. Helping them directly might offend them, but doing nothing risked their destruction. The humans faced a delicate balance: how to offer aid without forcing it upon a proud civilization. During their observations, humans discovered signs of internal conflict. Some cities seemed well defended, with defensive systems and organized patrols, while others were chaotic, their inhabitants appearing anxious and overworked. There were hints of attacks from an unknown aggressor, and evidence of resource shortages in key areas. The aliens were advanced, yet the stress on their society had created cracks. Humans realized that if a war came to this planet, it might destroy everything, leaving the aliens unable to recover on their own. Yet when human drones hovered close to deliver supplies or assess damage, alien defenses would activate, warning the humans away. It became painfully clear that any direct intervention would be seen as intrusion, not help. The human crew tried different strategies. They sent messages offering medical aid and technical support, emphasizing collaboration rather than control. They broadcast educational material about sustainable energy, resource management, and repair techniques. But the aliens' responses were cautious, sometimes even hostile. One city's energy grid briefly shut down when humans attempted to remotely stabilize it, as if the planet itself resisted outside influence. The crew grew frustrated, but also determined. They knew they had to respect the alien culture, even as they prepared for possible conflict. Captain Moreno called frequent meetings with the crew. "We must understand their perspective," he said, "not just their technology. They are not asking for our help, but they need it. Our job is to find a way to give it without breaking their trust." Dr. Rahman nodded. "Their pride is their shield. We cannot force them to accept aid, but we can show that our presence is not a threat. We have to earn their trust first." This realization shifted the mission from a simple rescue to a careful, patient operation. Every action was measured, every signal analyzed for cultural sensitivity. Meanwhile, the humans continued to explore the planet's orbit. They observed alien fleets moving through space, not in preparation for attack, but as a show of strength, a statement of independence. The aliens wanted to be seen as capable, strong, and self-sufficient. Humans could feel the tension growing. If another civilization attacked, these proud inhabitants might fight to the last, refusing outside help. Until it was too late, the crew began developing contingency plans for evacuation, protection, and defense, but always with the hope that diplomacy would succeed. Even as humans worked to understand the aliens, they learned about the challenges the civilization faced. Their cities were powered by advanced energy systems that were vulnerable to sudden disruptions. Environmental disasters, caused by overuse of resources in previous conflicts, had created dangerous zones where life struggled to survive. Some alien groups were isolated and fearful, while others clung to technology that was failing. Humans realized that the aliens were not invincible. They were strong, but fragile in ways that outsiders might easily overlook. Dr. Rahman suggested a bold approach: small, indirect assistance. Instead of offering aid directly, humans could provide tools and information that allowed the aliens to solve problems themselves. If they feel in control, they may accept help without losing honor, she explained. The crew began sending coded data packets that could improve energy distribution, stabilize failing systems, and repair damaged areas, all without revealing human involvement. This strategy worked in small ways. Certain cities showed subtle improvements, and the aliens began investigating these mysterious enhancements. Curiosity replaced suspicion in some areas, hinting at the possibility of trust. Despite these successes, the crew faced moments of fear. Alien defenses sometimes reacted aggressively, and unexplained phenomena suggested the presence of unknown dangers. Communications were slow, and misunderstandings could escalate quickly. Humans had to be careful, not to provoke panic. The crew spent long hours monitoring, analyzing, and planning, always aware that a single mistake could turn a hopeful mission into a disaster. Each day was a delicate dance of observation, intervention, and restraint. As weeks passed, the humans learned more about the alien society. They saw families struggling to maintain daily life, engineers working tirelessly to repair systems, and leaders debating the future of their civilization. The aliens were resilient, creative, and resourceful, yet their pride often prevented them from asking for or accepting help. Humans began to understand that this pride was not arrogance but a deep sense of identity. To offer assistance effectively, humans had to honor that identity, showing respect while subtly providing support. By the end of this period, the human crew had accomplished more than they expected. They had gained a deeper understanding of the alien world, its people, and its challenges. They had not yet been welcomed openly, but they had established a presence and influence. Through careful observation, subtle interventions, and patience, humans had begun laying the groundwork for cooperation. The aliens had not invited help, but the humans' persistence and respect were slowly breaking down barriers. Yet, the crew knew that a greater challenge was coming. The signals hinted at a looming threat from beyond the planet, one that might force the aliens to confront their limitations. The humans' presence would soon become critical, and patience alone would not be enough. The stage was set for a pivotal moment where diplomacy, courage, and strategic action would determine the fate of an entire civilization. For now, the humans continued their careful watch, learning, adapting, and preparing for whatever was about to arrive. The humans' careful observation of the alien world continued, but an unexpected discovery changed everything. Scouts monitoring distant space detected a massive fleet approaching the planet. These ships were unlike anything the humans had ever seen, sleek and heavily armed, moving with precision and purpose. The data suggested a single goal: total domination of the alien civilization. For the first time, the aliens' vulnerability became undeniable. The proud society, so confident in their independence, was unprepared for the scale of this threat. Humans felt a mix of concern and urgency. They realized that they could no longer stay passive observers. The humans attempted to warn the alien leaders immediately. Messages were sent, filled with clear and precise information about the approaching fleet. Humans emphasized the danger without demanding cooperation. They offered strategic advice, possible escape routes, and suggestions for defensive maneuvers. However, the aliens' response was cold and firm. They insisted they could handle the situation themselves and warned humans not to interfere. Their pride had transformed into a rigid barrier. They viewed human offers not as assistance but as interference, a challenge to their autonomy. This reaction frustrated the human crew, but they understood it was part of the aliens' culture. Respecting it could mean the difference between life and death. Meanwhile, tension built on the human ship. The crew held frequent meetings to prepare for multiple scenarios. Captain Elias Moreno emphasized that they had to be ready for both diplomacy and action. "We cannot force them to accept help, but we must be prepared to act if they face destruction," he reminded the team. Engineers worked tirelessly, checking every system of the spacecraft and the war fleet that humans kept in readiness, while analysts studied the enemy fleet's trajectory and capabilities. The humans had to consider every possibility, from peaceful negotiation to full-scale defense, all while respecting the aliens' wishes. As the hostile fleet drew closer, signs of panic appeared among the alien population. Civilians moved quickly to safer zones, while some cities fortified their defenses hastily. Human drones captured images of frantic preparations, showing a civilization struggling to maintain order. The pride that had kept them from accepting help now clashed with fear. Families moved through crowded streets, children clinging to parents, and workers struggled to maintain failing systems. It was a heartbreaking sight for the humans, who wished to help but could not simply step in without risking cultural offense. The humans realized that subtle assistance might not be enough this time. They began to send coded tactical information to selected leaders, disguised as natural observations and environmental updates. Some of these leaders, recognizing the danger, discreetly used the guidance to reinforce defenses, repair energy systems, and optimize city layouts for survival. Progress was slow, and the human crew knew it could not stop the approaching threat entirely. Yet they hoped that these small interventions would give the aliens a fighting chance. Captain Moreno, aware that time was running out, decided to prepare the human war fleet. This fleet had been stationed nearby, a precaution for emergencies, in deep space, but activating it meant crossing a line. The humans did not want to appear aggressive, yet they also could not stand by while an entire civilization faced annihilation. The fleet's engines roared to life, and formations were arranged with precision. Drones and spacecraft moved into positions that could provide both offense and defense. Every crew member understood that the coming hours would test not only their skills but their judgment, diplomacy, and courage. In the alien cities, leaders began to argue openly about the best course of action. Some still insisted on resisting alone, while others quietly acknowledged the value of human guidance. These debates were visible in subtle ways: shifts in patrol patterns, unexpected system optimizations, and discreet coordination with human signals. The humans watched carefully, understanding that any misstep could destroy the fragile trust that was developing. They had to walk a fine line between intervention and respect, offering support while letting the aliens feel in control. Despite the growing tension, moments of beauty and humanity emerged. The humans saw alien families sharing food, children playing near fragile gardens, and engineers working tirelessly to repair infrastructure. It reminded the crew that these were not just cities or technology. They were lives, hopes, and dreams, worth protecting. Dr. Anaya Rahman often spoke to the crew about the importance of empathy. "We are not here to conquer or change them," she said. "We are here to help them survive and preserve who they are. That is our mission, and it must guide every decision we make." As the enemy fleet neared the outer planets of the system, its presence became impossible to ignore. Alien defenses activated automatically, sending signals of warning to the humans. The approaching armada dwarfed anything Earth had ever seen, their weapons capable of destroying entire cities in minutes. It was a moment of high tension for both civilizations. Humans realized that their interventions had bought time, but not enough to prevent the initial chaos. Something more decisive would soon be required. The humans made one final attempt at diplomacy. They broadcast a message directly to the alien leaders, combining information about the incoming fleet with an appeal to their survival instincts. It was a message that balanced urgency and respect, warning that the danger was far greater than any previous challenge. The response was slow, but noticeable. Some leaders acknowledged the message in private channels, making small adjustments to their defense plans. The alien society was still divided, but the humans had managed to open a narrow path for cooperation, even if it was subtle and limited. Captain Moreno gathered the crew for a final briefing before the situation escalated. He reminded them that their purpose was not to take control but to protect life. "We cannot force them to accept help, but we can show them that survival is possible. The decisions we make now will shape the future of this world. We must be precise, careful, and ready for anything." The crew nodded, fully aware that the coming hours would determine the fate of millions. Every human heart on that ship beat in anticipation, hope, and a quiet fear. As the first vessels of the hostile fleet entered the outer atmosphere, both humans and aliens held their breath. The aliens' pride and determination were clear. They would fight with everything they had. But humans knew that without intervention, the odds were grim. The stage was set for a confrontation that would test the strength, strategy, and courage of both civilizations. The humans' patience, subtle assistance, and unwavering determination had bought precious time. Now, the next step would require decisive action, blending diplomacy with defense, strategy with compassion. The outcome remained uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity was no longer just an observer. They were becoming a crucial part of this civilization's survival story. The hostile fleet entered the alien system like a shadow across the stars, massive and overwhelming. Its ships moved with perfect coordination, their weapons glowing ominously. The aliens' defensive systems activated immediately, energy shields flickering and drones scrambling to intercept the first wave of intruders. The humans watched from orbit, tense but ready, their war fleet now fully engaged and positioned to support the planet without overtly taking command. Every human captain understood the importance of timing, of intervention without overshadowing the aliens' authority. The first shots were fired, and the distant hum of energy weapons vibrated through the void. The alien cities on the surface braced for attack. Civilians were evacuated to underground shelters while engineers worked frantically to reinforce power grids and defense turrets. The humans' subtle guidance began to pay off. Some cities that had benefited from human tactical advice were better prepared, their defenses coordinated, shields stronger, and communication systems intact. Yet, the scale of the enemy fleet was terrifying. Entire sections of the alien armada moved as a single unstoppable wave, threatening to overwhelm even the most prepared sectors. The humans realized that their intervention would be the difference between survival and annihilation. Captain Moreno directed the human war fleet with precision. Ships moved in coordinated formations, creating protective barriers and intercepting enemy vessels before they could reach the planet. Humans deployed decoy drones, drawing away enemy fire and allowing alien forces to regroup. Every maneuver was carefully calculated to protect life rather than dominate. The alien fleet leadership watched from their cities, observing the humans' actions with a mixture of skepticism and astonishment. They had not expected outsiders to intervene so decisively, and yet the humans' presence was carefully respectful, never taking over command, but providing the edge needed to turn the tide. On the planet's surface, alien fighters engaged the intruders with courage and skill. Some cities' turrets synchronized with the human fleet's attacks, creating an unprecedented level of defense. The aliens' pride began to shift subtly. They could not ignore the humans' effectiveness, nor could they dismiss the moral choice behind the intervention. Civilians watching from safe zones whispered tales of the newcomers who had come not to conquer, but to protect. Small acts of bravery, coordinated by human signals and inspired by human strategy, saved countless lives. The aliens began to feel a strange gratitude, though none admitted it openly. The battle intensified as the enemy fleet pressed harder. Human warships took calculated risks, moving close to enemy vessels to disrupt formations and shield weaker alien cities. Explosions lit up the void, yet human ships remained disciplined, minimizing unnecessary destruction. Dr. Raman worked alongside tactical teams, analyzing alien movements and predicting enemy attacks. Her knowledge of alien behavior, gained from months of observation, became invaluable. By understanding how the aliens valued honor and independence, humans ensured that interventions were subtle, respectful, and effective, gradually earning the trust of alien leaders. As the hours passed, alien forces began to cooperate more openly with human strategy. Previously independent cities now shared information in real time, coordinating defenses across vast distances. Energy shields aligned, weapon systems synchronized, and evacuation routes became more efficient. Pride, which had once prevented cooperation, now transformed into silent acknowledgement. The aliens were still reluctant to ask for help, but they allowed it in ways that preserved dignity. The humans watched quietly, understanding that trust could not be demanded. It had to be earned through action, patience, and respect. The turning point came when a massive enemy dreadnought approached one of the key cities. Its weapons were capable of obliterating entire districts in minutes. The city's defenses alone would not survive. Captain Moreno led a coordinated strike with human and alien forces, combining energy attacks, evasive maneuvers, and strategic targeting. The dreadnought was disabled, forced to retreat, and the city survived. Alien leaders observed this with awe. They had underestimated the humans' capability, their willingness to risk everything, and their respect for the aliens' autonomy. The realization spread quickly. Humanity was a powerful ally, not an intruder. By the time the hostile fleet began retreating, the aliens had begun to see the humans in a new light. The streets filled with cautious celebrations, while leaders cautiously acknowledged the effectiveness of the intervention. Engineers and civilians worked side by side, repairing damaged systems and sharing knowledge once reserved for isolated sectors. The aliens' pride was intact, yet tempered with a newfound respect for the humans who had arrived not as conquerors but as protectors. Humans had changed the course of the battle without undermining the aliens' identity. In the aftermath, the human crew spent time helping the aliens stabilize critical systems. They shared resources and knowledge, always in ways that allowed the aliens to maintain control. The war had revealed vulnerabilities, but it also created opportunities for collaboration. Slowly, a fragile trust formed. Humans and aliens began planning together, discussing strategies for rebuilding cities, reinforcing defenses, and preparing for future threats. This alliance was not simple. It was built on mutual respect, patience, and shared experience, forged in the fire of battle. The alien leaders, once proud and reluctant, now engaged in cautious dialogue. They asked questions, shared ideas, and began to accept guidance without feeling diminished. Civilians, who had once feared human intervention, now saw the crew as helpers, not outsiders. The human mission, originally seen as an intrusion, had become a symbol of hope. The planet had survived not just because of superior technology, but because humans had understood the delicate balance between respect and assistance. As night fell on the alien world, humans looked out over the recovering cities. Lights flickered. Back to life, systems hummed steadily and people began to rebuild. Captain Moreno reflected on the lessons learned. Intervention required empathy as much as skill, patience as much as courage, and respect as much as strategy. Humanity had made a difference, not by taking control, but by standing beside the aliens when they needed it most. The story of this battle would become a shared memory, a turning point in the relationship between two civilizations, united by survival and understanding. Months later, as the planet stabilized, humans and aliens worked together to rebuild infrastructure, share knowledge, and prepare for a future that neither could face alone. Education programs were established, blending human and alien techniques. Energy systems were upgraded, environmental damage repaired, and defenses strengthened. Cultural exchanges began, allowing humans to learn from the aliens' wisdom while sharing Earth's innovations. The alliance remained cautious but strong. Mutual respect and shared experience formed the foundation of their cooperation. Even the alien leaders who had once refused help now acknowledged the humans' role discreetly. They did not see it as surrender, but as a necessary partnership. Pride remained, but it was tempered with humility and gratitude. The humans had proven that intervention could be both effective and respectful, and the aliens now saw Earth not as an outsider, but as a friend and protector. The stage was set for a future of shared knowledge, mutual respect, and strengthened resilience. The bond formed in battle would continue to shape their interactions for years to come, a testament to the courage, patience, and wisdom of those who chose to answer a silent cry across the stars. The aftermath of the battle left both humans and aliens reflecting on what had happened. Cities rebuilt, systems repaired, and life slowly returned to normal. Yet everyone knew the events would never be forgotten. Humans had arrived when pride and independence had prevented the aliens from asking for help, and in doing so, they had changed the course of history. The aliens began to recognize that cooperation did not mean weakness. Accepting help, when done with respect, could strengthen their civilization and protect the lives they cherished. Humans continued their work alongside the aliens, providing guidance in areas that had been vulnerable during the conflict. Energy systems were optimized to prevent future failures, communication networks strengthened, and emergency protocols established. The aliens learned to integrate these improvements without feeling that their autonomy had been compromised. Children studied human technology alongside their own. Engineers collaborated on new innovations, and leaders held joint councils to plan for potential threats. The humans' presence was no longer seen as an intrusion, but as an opportunity for growth and resilience. Trust, however, remained delicate. Some aliens still questioned the humans' motives, wary of outside influence. Others quietly embraced the alliance, seeing the value of partnership in a universe full of unknown dangers. The human crew worked carefully to maintain balance, offering assistance without overstepping, sharing knowledge without dictating. They understood that relationships built on respect lasted far longer than those built on fear or control. Slowly, more alien leaders came to accept collaboration as a strength rather than a compromise. Cultural exchange blossomed in unexpected ways. Humans were fascinated by the aliens' art, music, and history, while the aliens marveled at